Good morning, everybody, and welcome to No BS TED. This is Ryan. This is Ryan from No Border Sports, and I'm Ted from TED Talks Ball. And together we are No BS TED, coming to you live every Tuesday it is today, right? Every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, or whenever we're on daylight time, and 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, or Pacific or daylight time, whatever we're on, that's what we're on. So thanks for joining me today, Ryan. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday?
Bro, it's Tuesday.
Yeah, man. Nothing more needs to be said, I guess. So with that, let's dive into the biggest Niner news. And God, I don't know, since the draft, we signed Logan Thomas, a tight end formerly of the Commanders, veteran tight end, a multi-talented receiving and blocking tight end. You know how I've been clamoring for that, Ryan, since you can probably remember. So needless to say, I'm over the moon about it. The only way it could be better if he was younger. I guess he's 32, but that's hardly over the hill for most tight ends, especially when they don't really rely on speed. A lot of times they're more about size. And he's a big fella, a big target. So give me your thoughts on Logan Thomas.
I like it. So far, I like it. I'm still trying to delve into a little bit more of his stats. He had good stats last year, and it seems like he was a big part of their team, kind of, without being like a crucial part of their team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it was he got the fourth most yards on that team last year. And I'm trying to figure out, what does his stats look like over time? Is he coming on over a while? What does he... Oh, let's see. That's the only thing. I just want to look at his whole career. There we go.
He's been a good producer for them. He had an injury in 2021, I believe. But 2022 and 2023, he had 1,400 snaps between the two seasons, which is a lot. So pretty exciting stuff, I would say.
His best season, he had 110 targets with only 670 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then he got injured the year after that. So it seems like he's not been heavily relied on, except for when he got to the Commanders. And then they used him his first year. He got himself busted, and then it seems like they kind of slowly brought him back into the offense. It seems to me like this is a great pick, and it seems like they're definitely trying to make moves.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that tight end was a need when it was one of the two positions that we didn't draft during the draft that Lynch and Kyle addressed specifically, one being tight end, the other being OT, offensive tackle. And so maybe that leads me to believe maybe we'll make an offensive tackle move here too. That would excite me as well. But what's an offensive tackle's best buddy? A tight end who can block, and a guard next to him on both sides that can block with him. And so I feel like we have that, with Feliciano for this year. We have Pooney probably for the future. And then
or even this year.
Yeah. And now we have Logan Thomas to go on the other side of Kittle. He's no Kittle, don't make no mistakes, but he is 6'6", 250. So he's a good red zone target, and he can block. And the key to me, Ryan, of this whole thing is just that he can come into the huddle, and now you don't know if it's a run play or a pass play, or that where we're not handicapping ourselves by doing the other with the wrong guy in there, like we did with Warner, who couldn't catch and Dwally who couldn't block, you could run those other plays, but you're going to be ineffective. And if you run the play they're effective at, then you're telegraphing that to the defense. So either way, you're handicapping yourself with those half tight ends.
And even if he's better in one regard than the other, the difference isn't as big as it was with Dwelly or with Warner. So it's not predictable on what preference it's going to be. He's pretty much even kill when it comes to that, keeled when it comes to that. So it looks like, yeah, it's a guessing match when they come in. We go two tight end set. They're gonna be like, well, what is this? They won't be able to figure out what we're actually doing until we stop motioning. Because we can come out in a heavy set, two tight ends on the line and then motion them both out, go 5 wide receivers spread out. You know what I mean? So they won't know what we're actually in until the ball snapped, which is nasty. I've been clamoring that for now. If we could have 2 backs in the backfield at the same time who can run and catch, that's nasty. That's nasty. Tell me what I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing.
There you go. So it could be Isaac Garendo, or it could be the kid out of Mizzou. I always forget his name, who led the SEC.
Cody
Schrader. That's it. Schrader. That's it. Cody Schrader. Yeah, could be one of those two. Could be the complement to CMC. Rick Diaz in the house mentioned CMC, says McCaffrey wants to win. He's the best running back. And number 1 running back is like another Roger Craig. I mean, this may be blasphemy, folks, but I'm going to go ahead and say CMC is better than Roger Craig. Roger was the original. Marshall Faulk was the next in the line of running and receiving running backs. And LaDainian Tomlinson also of that ilk. And I'm going to say that Christian McCaffrey is the best of the bunch. The best there ever was at running and receiving. He's just the quintessential do-it-all back. And he pass blocks really well too. And it's good news to see him that he's coming to the mandatory mini camp. I doubt we'll work him too hard there, but at least he's showing up. It'll be interesting to see if Brandon Ayuk shows up. Do you think he will, Ryan, or do you think he'll come and just stand on the sideline?
Hold on real quick. Let's get into that here in just one second. I just want to say that I think what sets Christian McCaffrey into that, let's say, third tier of halfback is that he runs his routes so nice that without looking at him and telling his stature, you know what I mean, or knowing it's his number, if you just look at the routes, you're like, oh shit, this is actually a receiver. Not necessarily, a top tier, but ain't no running back in the league got crisp routes like that. And that's what I think really puts him into that second or that third evolution. What up, Bebop?
Bebop, Bebop.
Let's get it.
CMC GOAT.
Yeah.
I think he's coming into that category for sure. Him and Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. There's a short list of the bad. Dickerson was up there.
Jim Brown,
obviously. A lot of people still think he's the best ever. Hard to argue against that. I just didn't really get to watch him live. So
I call Jim Brown the greatest because of what he did on the field, but also off. I call Muhammad Ali the greatest because of what he did in the ring and off. I think truly that Barry Sanders is the best running back ever. And I think that Mike Tyson was the best pound for pound fighter ever. But when it comes to on the list, and Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali transcended their individual sport to become something more, and actually something more beneficial to our society. So that's why I give them the greatest term. You know what I mean?
Yeah, on the list, but not Sonny Liston. Sorry, I had to go there with the boxing reference. So yeah, Bebop here from Bethlehem, PA. Welcome. We got Gammon Brown in the house. Who is the better run blocker, Juwan or Logan? I'm not as familiar with Logan Thomas's game yet, Gammon. So I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I think probably Logan Thomas is, since he's so much bigger. Just from pound per pound, it may be Juwan Jennings, and probably hard to argue against that since he's only 215 and 6'3". But Logan Thomas is 6'6" and 250. That's a huge amount of height and weight difference.
Well, also think that Logan Thomas, he's going to be asked to block on the line more so than split out. And Juwan Jennings is asked to block in space. So I
against
think
DBs, right, compared to linebackers and linemen, that's a big distinction too.
To me, it's apples and oranges, because I wouldn't expect Juwan Jennings to come onto the line and be able to hold off a defensive end. Not saying that he couldn't. I'm not going, oh, yep, Juwan's got this one. You know what I mean? Like, I am not putting my quarterback's health in risk. I'm gonna put somebody there more like a Logan Thomas. So that's what I would say. I think Juwan Jennings is really good at blocking out in space. So I don't want to say that, but we're talking about on the line. I'm guessing Logan Thomas.
Yeah, I'm gonna go that way too. But pound for pound, it's hard to beat anybody better than Juwan Jennings pound for pound. He's an incredible. I just love the way he gets under people's skin, and he gets so many personal foul penalties drawn against him by people where he kind of takes a little swing and then they take the second swing and get caught doing it. And nothing makes my heart warmer than to see us get 15 free yards because Juwan Jennings pissed somebody off and was able to control himself better than they were.
Right. I love his tenacity. When he blocked that guy into the Gatorade thing, you know what I mean? Like that's a guy. That's a guy. Like, that's the guys I want to pay. You know what I mean? Because they are every down, they're giving it their all.
No doubt about it. He is a beast. And I guess since we last talked, I don't think we had a show last week.
Oh, we did.
So Juwan got signed to 2 years, $15.5 million. Real nice, tidy contract for him. Locks him up to the 2025 season. That's exciting and well deserved. And definitely super happy about that. Just to let everybody know what happened last week. On Tuesday, my wife was out of town and we didn't have childcare. And so there was no way I could go live without my son just being like in here the whole time, like, Daddy, I want to meet Ryan. I want to talk. And as cute as he is and as fun as that would be, like, my wife would kill me if he ever got much exposure on social media, on the interwebs. We're trying as much as possible to shield him from all that madness. So good luck with that, I guess. But also it just makes it hard to concentrate when he's constantly popping.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I'm old enough. I already have troubles concentrating all on my own. So, what's that we're talking about? Anywho, so some other big news. So we got Juwan Jennings, we got Logan Thomas. There was another signing of a JJ, some other JJ, not the one we care about, Juwan Jennings, but arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson signed. By the way, richest non-QB quarterback in NFL history, surpassing and eclipsing Nick Bosa's contract, $140 million deal, $35 million a year, blowing, the wide receiver market out of the water, as many of us thought would happen. And, now it's really on the Niners to sign Brandon Ayuk, because a lot of us thought that was maybe what the holdup was, that Brandon wanted to see and his agent wanted to see what Justin Jefferson got before agreeing to a number and then leaving money on the table, because that undoubtedly raises Brandon Ayuk's number at least a little bit, I think.
Wait, real quick. Is that what you thought? Who thought that they were waiting on Justin Jefferson?
I think everybody was. I think CeeDee Lamb is too.
Why was he in such a rush?
Brandon Ayuk?
His posture. What was his posture? His posture was, let's get this done right now.
That's the talk. That's the public. That's just so people get mad at the Niners and not him. That's what it is. That's just, trying to have your cake and eat it too.
I don't think so.
You think he wanted to sign a deal and leave money on the? I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
they all want their deal. everybody always wanted their deal off the get except for who? Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Okay, so why didn't Nick Bosa do this?
Because they were just going back and forth, slogging it out.
He didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He knew he was going to get paid. What up, Don?
We got Don Dodson in the house.
Don's awesome.
What up, Don?
If you had been following Dawn on Twitter, she got a new Twitter handle. So Dawn, if you want, go ahead and put that in the chat so people can follow you if they.
Yeah, feel free. Speaking of new handles, there's actually I've gotten rid of some of my love handles.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I've lost about 50 pounds since February, chasing my son around the pump track on my mountain bike while he's on his little BMX bike. I've been posting up some videos and stuff about that. Not of me yet. I got to get someone to videotape me, but I videotaped him doing it. And
you can buy a little drone that has a wristwatch, and it'll follow you around as long as you're wearing the watch.
That's what I need to get. All right, I gotta put that on my to-do list.
Yep.
I like to.
Snowboarders use it. I know the snowboarders use it. And I thought that's so smart because then you don't have to like worry about having a buddy or anything like that. You're one stop shop. Let's go.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to have to worry about having a buddy. That would. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's just, when you got to operate like that, then you're at the whim of whoever wants to volunteer to.
No. You're right. You're right.
Record you.
I just meant like usually making friends is something I don't have too much trouble with. But yeah, friends that want to go and ride and crazy stuff. Yeah, then it starts to dwindle the list quite a bit, and especially then during the weekday, during business hours. When I'm available, when everybody else wants to go evenings and weekends, like normal folks. So I'm going to just watch drone for video. Right. There we go. So I got my note. But yeah, so speaking of new handles, I do have a new YouTube handle that I wanted to share with everybody. It's called Teddy Talks Bikes, all one word, or I think you can put the spaces in too. But do it all one word. Teddy, Teddy Talks Bikes, and it's a lot of mountain bike, e-bike, pedal bike. I got a DIY bike that I've been building for the last 2.5 weeks. Built it about 3 different ways, and I'm offering up services to build bikes for people, repair bikes for people, help them find bikes cheaply on the used market. I'm a ninja on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Pink Bike, because I put this bike together for under $2,000, and it'll smoke these $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 factory bikes with power, with range, with supple suspension, really powerful brakes. So anyway, enough about that. I don't want, this is a football show. But I did want to promote my other channel because I'm really excited about it. And also I'm excited about, building a little business here. I'll probably work some for a bike shop before too long here. But on the side, I'm going to be, like I said, building and repairing bikes and e-bikes, and especially DIY ones, do it yourself. A lot of bike shops just won't work on those. And so it's very frustrating. That's why I went to bike school about 6-7 years ago in 2017. I guess it was 7 years ago.
They have a bike school?
Yeah. There's one called Creighton in Colorado, and then there's one in Portland near you called UBI. But luckily for me, there's one in Ashland, which is the southern end of Oregon, which is much closer to me, and that's where I went and took a 2-week intensive training class to become a certified bike mechanic, because nobody would work on these. I had these fat bikes back in the day. And you can see them, I think they're on all my properties now. You can see them on my Twitter and X banners and my YouTube banners and stuff. Bottom line is, you can see the big red fat bike. That was the one that caused me to go to bike school, because none of the bike mechanics in San Francisco would work on it. Or if they did, they'd like put me way at the end of the queue, and they'd work on all the bikes that they sold to people first. And they're like, so like those people come in like, oh yeah, 2-3 days, we'll work you in. I come in like, maybe 2-3 weeks. And that's a long time to be waiting to ride, especially like when you're physical and, honestly, mental health. I'm not going to say it pivots on that, but it's certainly affected by that. Exercise is really good for, your mood, your cognition, and your lack of good depression fighter, better than any antidepressant I ever tried. That's for sure. So what else? We got Darwin in the house. Darwin's Raven, aka Levi is his real name, saying, "What up, guys?
What up?
What's happening, Levi? Thanks for joining." You came in during my bike spiel.
Dawn says it's she's cleaning before he gets home from school, and then they're gonna go swimming. It's hot as hell out there. Well, it's been downpouring all day here, so enjoy that sun for me, please.
Sheesh, man, brutal.
Yeah.
So we've had good weather in the Bay Area, at least on the peninsula. We've had kind of like 75 and sunny for like a week straight, with a nice breeze, which is great.
One thing I wanted to touch on is I see a lot of people out there saying CeeDee Lamb should get like 32 million and Brandon Ayuk only deserves like 30 million, right?
I don't even think Brandon Ayuk deserves 30. That's Amon-Ra. And I think Amon-Ra is a proven wide receiver 1.
Yeah, but let's just go with what the premise was going with, right? I don't understand how people evaluate how CeeDee Lamb, who's been on a team that's, as long as he's been there, has said, we just need one more wide receiver. And now people in the media on the internet are like, he deserves 32 million. And it's like, well, then why is their the only thing stopping them from getting over the hill a wide receiver when clearly they're paying a guy who they think is the wide receiver?
Well, because you need more than one. Just like we have the best tight end in Kittle. We still needed another tight end in Logan Thomas. So just because one guy is the best at what they do doesn't mean you don't need more guys like him.
Right.
Especially wide receiver, tight end, running back.
He's the best on the team. And there's other talent on that team. And there's been talent on that team.
Yeah, but CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a top 5 receiver now. I think it's him, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill.
I don't know CeeDee Lamb,
AJ Brown,
a true top 5 receiver, because
I'm on there. Amon-Ra.
I don't think when it gets tough, he's going to be able to handle things. I think he punks out at the end of the day when the shit gets hard. And look, that's just my opinion. I can't support that with anything, but I'm sure over the next couple years or so, we might see that.
There you go. Bebop says bike shops are the same over here in Bethlehem, PA. Yeah, it's a bummer because, you go and you buy one of these factory bikes, like say a Specialized Turbo Levo. You spend like $6-8 grand, maybe 10 G's on a bike, and you ride it and you're like, hey, this is great. I love this bike. And you're having fun. You ride it for a season. Next season, you're like, I want to do some longer rides. Let me go get a spare battery for this really expensive bike that I just bought. And they're like, oh, sorry, pal. That was last year's model. We don't even make those anymore. We're sold out. You got to buy the new model if you want the new battery. You can't even buy a freaking spare battery for them sometimes, things like that. So these proprietary systems, they work really well. I'm not going to say they don't. They are more reliable a lot of times than DIY. But boy, you pay a premium for them, and the interchangeability on them is like zip. I have a battery from 7 years ago from my fat tire bike that I just slapped in a backpack, and I'm using it to get this bike rolling. So, there's a lot more interchangeability in that. So Levi says, getting ready for hurricane season here. I think it officially started yesterday. But I mean, you're in Baltimore though, man. I mean, there's not, I guess they do get all up and down. I just don't know. I always think of Florida and the Carolinas and the Panhandle as really more, and all the way over to Louisiana. I guess they call it the Redneck Riviera, the Mississippi, Alabama coast, Pensacola, but mostly like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all that area, Jacksonville. But I hope you don't get hit by anything too hard, Darwin. And then as you start getting up beyond like Baltimore to like New York City and stuff, then I think you're more worried about nor'easters blowing in from like Greenland than you are from hurricanes coming up from the Gulf. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert on the East Coast. That's just my left coast perspective there, I will say.
So did you see that
Lucky going to be in the triple digits the next few days. That's hot. That's pool weather for sure. Pool only.
Did you see what Chris Forster said in the press conference about how he sees the offensive line and strategies for drafting and such like that?
No, lay it on me.
Oh, God. So essentially, Chris Forster and somebody who was on the Ravens at the time, I believe it's the Seahawks offensive coordinator. I believe he said that. Don't quote me 100%. I didn't write all that down. But anyway, he said that it doesn't matter if the right tackle blocks, just as long as Debo can get a score off a 5-yard pass and take it 60 yards to the house. And he said he came up with this strategy when he was watching Tom Brady play. And he was talking to the guy who at the time was playing for the Ravens or coaching for the Ravens and saying, see, who's on the line? Doesn't matter because he's got weapons to get at. So his whole mindset is plug just enough gaps to where the ball can get out and everything will be fine. And that when it comes to the draft room, that as the draft's going on, if there's a guy who touches the ball that everybody's all hyped about, he's like, yeah, just go get that guy. Don't worry about the offensive line. He stated all this. Then he said Jalen Moore is getting better every year. He said he's really in a bad situation because poor Jalen Moore, being the backup left tackle, can't compete for any of the other spots because the whole time in preseason he has to play left tackle to protect the quarterback, which have we ever seen the 49ers really give a fuck about the quarterback's protection in preseason?
Like, weird.
There's so much shit from his stuff. It's almost like he's like, he knows exactly that everybody knows, like everybody knows the game's up, right? And he knows that the game is up, but he's just like feeding you these lines just to piss you the fuck off even more. You know what I mean? Like, we already know this is the truth, and you're just saying this shit to make us mad. You're being honest about what's going on in the draft room. You're being honest about your strategy of just letting anybody plug a hole. He did say, but there is a drop off to talent that gets so bad that they can't do anything. And I'm glad that he knows that, but he seems to be okay with fucking flaunting with that line. Like standing over the bitch, letting his balls hang on it. Like I was really upset at this press conference.
I could see why. I'm with you, Ryan. I mean, that's weird stuff. Real quick, let's the chat's been going crazy here a little bit. So Darwin Levi was saying that they had 101 degree temperature there in Southwest Florida, and that's with a lot of humidity. So that's brutal heat and that kind of humidity. And they're expecting that to make and so he did say he's in Southwest Florida, basically Naples, which looks like kind of straight across the state from Miami and Fort Lauderdale on the east, Naples in the west, Florida. And then he said he's lived in 5+ states in 10 years. I was like, man, that witness relocation program's a bitch. They keep you moving a lot, I guess. Who did you testify against, Levi? That's the question. I'm kidding, but it sounded like it was job here. He said something about a work assignment. So that's probably where he was, maybe he's in oil and gas, and those things dry up. You got to move on to the next. But tell us, feel free or don't. I mean, don't feel obligated, but I'm just, because I had a friend in high school whose parents, they moved like literally like every year. And I'm like, they must be in the witness relocation program, Maybe it's not a thing anymore, but back then it sure was. Says, what's funny as a child, we were under a protection plan. Oh man. Wow. Crazy. I'm glad to see you turned out well anyway, Levi. You're a great guy. So whatever happened, it made you into an amazing person. So with Chris Forster, yeah, I mean, it's kind of frustrating, because a lot of us, we want to see some investment in the O-line, and we feel like Kyle doesn't. it makes me wonder, Ryan, if like that's what Forrester really thinks, or if he just is saying that because he knows Kyle's never going to invest in the offensive line, so he's being a good soldier, and he's sort of taking the company line to have his back, even though, like, if you're a coach, you got to know the only horse we've had since Kyle's been here.
So why would, if you're going to lie, why would you add somebody else into your lie? That's the easiest way to tank your lie.
I don't know. I just
it's totally true. It's totally true. We see it. Who cares if he fucking said it? We had these thoughts in our head the whole time. They don't give two shits about the offensive line. They will piecemeal that bitch together. Isn't that what we've been saying? Everybody, why didn't they get a tackle? Why do you think? Because everything we've been plotting and saying is true. Holy shit.
They think they're just fine. I know, it's crazy.
So one thing he said about Pooney, he says Pooney can play all positions. He said he didn't even know if he played center at all, which he couldn't confirm that, which we all know that he played center in the one game in college, right? In the Senior Bowl or whatever, or the equivalent of. But he said he's a guard. So what do they get every single time? We just need a whole bunch of guards. We'll do whatever we want at tackle. We will not try to replace Jalen Moore whatsoever. Fucking ever. We don't want to upset him at all, make him think that we're trying to move on from him. We're just going to get guards all day long. So crazy. Also Nugent might be a Nepo hire. His father and Forrester used to.
Nugent is the center out of Michigan, undrafted.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not saying he's totally a Nepo, obviously a center for a national championship winning team. You know what I mean? I'm just saying there might be more reasons than his talent on the field to why he's in the room. Just to put that out there.
Yeah.
Not that I want anybody to, just first go to that. And, when he sucks in training camp, people to go, oh, it's just a Nepo hire. Right. And because everybody's going to have trouble in camp. If he sticks on in 4 years and 5 years and he's shit, then it is. You know what I mean? So I just don't want anybody going out there and being mean. I don't want to throw him under the bus. I just want to kind of put out a flag to kind of, hey, there's a little red flag here.
Good thing to keep an eye on. Darwin's, or I keep on Darwin because that's his handle. Levi says he's a former manager at Delta Airlines, including 20 years. So based on that, I'm going to say there's 100% probability that one of those, let's go back to where did he say he had so many stops in so many years, 5+ states in 10 years. One of those states, if you're Delta, must have been Georgia. You must have been Atlanta because that's the Delta hub. I'm going to guess you must have worked there for some period of time. Tell me I'm wrong. Let's see here. So you think Nugent might be, well, I mean, Nepo hire, he's undrafted. It's not like we wasted a lot of capital on him. He was a good performer in college. He's just not tall and he's not long. He's, I guess, kind of like me. He's like 6 foot-ish, 300-ish, not really long arms or legs type of thing. Although now I'm down to 285. So, hey, I'm getting closer to linebacker territory than center or D tackle. Or even maybe a big tight end. So, he played on one of the best offensive lines in college football, and he was one of the better linemen on that line. It's just there's questions of if it'll translate to the pros, if he can keep guys out of his chest.
I'm just saying if he's taken up a spot in 2 or 3 years and his game hasn't showed proof of deserving that, that's why I'm saying we need to look out for this. As far as that right now, I just think you should just make a mental note and put it in the back of your head. That's what I'm saying. Because, yeah. Did you see the interview with Nick Sorensen back on May 10th?
Tell me about it. I'm probably not.
So one of the things he said when asked, this isn't very insightful, but I think it is kind of. It says, he said that they're getting back to what they were in the past, means going back to our coverages and how we play them. So I think that is a big focus, obviously, if that's the reason why he's here, right? He's here to be the defensive coordinator, but he's also here to bring that back, right? And all the other coaches, right? All the other coaches know what to do also. I'm just saying that's kind of why he's taking this role. So the coverages obviously is what was the big issue with Steve Wilkes last year. To me, that's what that says, is the coverages was the big overlying throughout the whole season issue.
Yeah, the guys were lined up like 5 to 7 yards off the ball every play. Like you're basically handing away first downs before someone can even make a tackle.
Yeah. So that was what he was saying about that. They asked about changing up the 4-man rush because we picked up a couple of people that kind of can play maybe in the 3-4. That being Leonard Floyd, who is kind of a small defensive end. And yes, he can get upfield and set that edge, but if you put an offensive tackle on him, that offensive tackle can move him out of the way. So for him to play consistent downs, a 3-4 would be better for him as an outside linebacker. But obviously, Chris Kocurek has said that, and Leonard Floyd has said that he's working with Coach about with his hand in the ground. So that means that they aren't trying any 3-4 that much, because I think they would be installing some of that then and now. But it seems like they're working on that 4-man front. But he said they're always looking to evolve in certain ways, but he sees them continuing with what their bread and butter is. So it's like, hey, you might see 3-4 in some certain situations just because we got the personnel who could do it, but we're not going to make it our bread and butter. We're just doing that to throw people off.
I like it. I mean, as long as you don't have Bosa doing the 3-4 too often, that's my key. Because he's a quintessential 4-3 D end. All the rest of our guys, I'm sure, can handle it. So, and maybe you give Bosa a breather on those plays. Maybe that's how that works.
Or he's the outside linebacker that's always rushing while the other one is.
Or you play him inside, not nose, but inside defensive end, which is more like a nose tackle in a 3-4 anyway.
No, a tackle.
He's like a,
it would be like a 3 technique.
Yeah, 3
essentially, which is a
5,
regular tackle.
Yeah,
oh,
not the one.
A one is a nose tackle. A 1 tech is a nose tackle.
Yeah, not a 1. Definitely not. No, I meant the defensive ends in a 3-4. They're not really on the edge because you got outside linebackers outside of them. Real quick, Levi said he says he's worked for Delta, United, Spirit, and U.S. Airways. He's versed in all systems. Tell us a little bit about Spirit, Darwin. Is it as bad as the horror stories I've heard? It sounds like just a flipping complete disaster. But tell us from the inside. We're curious to know via subcontractors. Interesting.
So you want some?
So you were never a Spirit employee then. That's good to hear.
Jordan Collins is somebody that Chris Kocurek said reminded him of DJ Jones. So I think that's something really interesting, because the moment DJ Jones left, we kind of groaned and, bitched and groaned because we knew how important he was up front. And since then, we've always been talking about how we wanted to get another DJ Jones back, him back, or we'll take him back, or somebody like him. So who knows? Keep an eye on
Malik Collins, the one from the Texans.
I think he said Jordan Collins.
The one who's replacing Armstead essentially.
Then maybe I messed up the last name. But he said Jordan.
Oh, Jordan Elliott. Elliott's the one from the Browns, and Malik Collins is the one from the Texans.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd love it if Jordan Elliott is DJ Jones and Malik Collins is Eric Armstead. Yeah, we're back to that D line of 2021 again.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. Levi says Logan Thomas is a solid signing, not the guy he once was, but a solid vet that has some pass catching potential. Yeah, I'm over the moon about it, honestly, Levi. That's how tight end hungry we are here.
It's another way to spread the ball around. It's another front to give somebody a question on how they attack us, and then a way to split them out and attack them. You know what I mean? Because two tight end set. Well, our base, what we're gonna call in two tight end set. Let's say it's maybe it's more of a bear front.
Just don't fly Allegiant Airlines, aka Vegas. They're also buy cheap tickets. They buy planes that were decommissioned in a scrapyard, then repurpose them. That's why they have so many delays. Wow, sounds scary and dangerous. Just roll the bones, baby, for that cheap flight, whatever it takes.
I don't even know where I was.
We were talking about defensive line.
Yeah, Malik Collins, I switched up to something else, but
Ryan knows about Boeing. They're just right up there in Everett, up north of you, right?
Yeah, but I'm here to talk about the 49ers.
Yes, sir. All right. We got David Crone in the house.
What up, David?
All day, every day.
So I don't know what else you want to talk about. There's tons of interviews that went off. Let's see.
Well, wait, there was a little bit more news, general NFL news. There was Larry Allen passed away.
Yeah. Larry Allen passed
away. Arguably the best lineman on arguably the best offensive line of all time. Died at 52. Tragic. So rest in peace, Larry Allen, and prayers up for him and his family.
The Trent Williams of his day, if anybody doesn't know.
Yeah, he was. He was a monster. And then he came here and he was over the hill, but to the Niners. But as a Cowboy, he was a menace.
A menace. And even over the hill, he still was smart enough to outplay people just out of brains.
Tell us which two you're eyeballing for us, which two tight ends. I kind of wanted I always liked Max Williams of the Cards and Robert Tonyan of Packers. But we missed on both of them.
So Coach Bobby Turner talked about Garendo. He said what they really liked about him is they wanted speed. They really were looking for speed in this draft, and that he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on him, and that he's coachable.
He supposedly is a good blocker and a good receiver, so that's two big things. I think that's maybe what's been holding back Elijah Mitchell, besides the injuries, and JP Mason from getting more touches, more snaps.
It also seems that they knew about his speed before the combine. It almost seemed like Bobby Turner had an idea that this was his guy beforehand, because he commented, we knew he was fast when I was preparing his tape to pass it on to everyone. So he was, doing his Coach Turner thing. And he just seen on tape, he's like, visibly, this guy in game is fast, which is good, because we've seen that 40 times don't mean shit in the last couple of years. And if it means something on the field on tape, then that just kind of reinforces the 40 time.
And you like the way he runs straight up and down too, right? Weren't you saying that?
Well, I don't necessarily like that as far as in the backfield, but when you're talking about this new kickoff, which also the special teams coach was explaining that they don't know how this is really going to shape up this year. If they want somebody who is going to run down closer to the ground or more standing up, which, like I was telling you, Grendo looked like Jared Hayes when he was running it, when I was looking at his tape. So to me, maybe
Hayne.
that's one of the things. Yeah, Hayne, yeah, maybe that's one of the things that they were like, hey, not only is this guy, good for our offense, but maybe this guy could be something else we could try in special teams. He's fast, right? So, and he's big. So therefore, if you can break an arm tackle with him, he's got breakaway speed. That's points off the kick return. So I think there's more than one reason why he's here. And I'm kind of excited to see what they do with him.
Yeah.
He also, Bobby Turner also commented about how the media says that you could put any running back in the backfield and they'll get yards. And he said that is false. They work very hard to make it look this good, which, yes, I think that is true, because if a running back, we talk about the line, right? So the line isn't the best offensive line out there. So off that you need to get to your hole and you need to be decisive and get through it, because you can't wait. These guys aren't thoroughbred athletes other than Trent Williams. So you've got to, once your hole's there, you got to take advantage of it. And I think that's what they're saying. They work really hard to make them not anticipate, but once they see it, they react. They like the defense says, fire their guns. They get these running backs to see the hole, notice it, identify it immediately before it's even the hole yet, and then fire their guns into it. And I think that's what he's saying about the hard work.
Well, if our running backs coach has done such a great job, if he says that Gurenda's a good fit, then I tend to believe him. So let's hope he's right once again. He's done some great jobs for sure. Levi says tight ends he was looking at for the 49ers: Bryson Hopkins, Tanner Hudson, and Brevin Jordan. Love to get Bryson Hopkins. He's a Ram, if I'm not mistaken. Brevin Jordan is on the Texans. And Tanner Hudson, he was a Niner. We let him walk. And then he went back to the Bengals and had a great year last season. So we had him. He just isn't much of a blocker, or at least he wasn't when he left us.
You can tell
he's got great hands, though.
You can tell who the Niners wanted. They went after that the Lions guy, because he definitely could block, and he was coming on as a wide receiver. And they were kind of looking to, I think they wanted him because he's younger. He's not young, like draft young. So they didn't think that he'd be more plug and play than drafting. And we thought they were going to draft a tight end, and I don't think that's the case. And it seems like Pline is a project, and he will be on the squad no matter what. I have a feeling that he's going to make it, as far as maybe practice squad, but obviously probably practice squad. But I feel that I don't know, he might suit, but they're going to have a spot for him. I think that's their embodiment of the future.
Interesting. I wouldn't argue against that. Levi was saying Hopkins didn't pan out for the Rams. So I would love to get anybody from the Rams just to chap their fans' hide. But I think of those three, I think Tanner Hudson is the one that hurts the most, because he's the one that got away. But, I guess we'll see. It's not over. And maybe we'll add yet another tight end. We may need to.
So something just coming around my notes here. I got a couple of weeks of stuff I haven't talked about. Greasy, when asked what Brock's biggest gains this offseason were, when his biggest strides were, he like almost pulled his stuff out and started playing with it. And, Brock has become a better leader. His leadership, I told him I wanted him to work on his leadership thing, and I think he's really done it, and this and that. And okay, you really think that was his biggest thing, is how he needed to lead people? Like, he's doing great getting it done how he is. Oh, what up, Rob? He's doing a great job getting it done, doing what he's doing, right? I don't think he really needs to change much. When he says something, people fucking listen already because he doesn't really say much. So when he says something where it's like, other than, hey, we got this, if he's saying, hey, you need to get in line, people are taking note already because he doesn't say shit like that ever. So when he does, it's like he's yelling. You know what I'm saying? Because he's never spoken to me that way. You know what I'm saying? He never talked to me like that. So I don't really see this a big issue, but Greasy multiple times when asked about Brock Purdy, and he just tried to get that out multiple times. I think he's just so taken aback by him.
Didn't he also say basically that this undrafted kid out of Wisconsin, Tanner Mordecai, is like the same thing? Somebody did, I feel like.
So he has said, I've heard rumors of that. But it seems like Tanner Mordecai, he's carrying water for him, saying he's struggling because of the leap to the pros, which I'm not saying isn't true. I'm just saying no, Greasy wasn't doing that for Trey Lance. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so clearly this is a Greasy pick, and everybody is like, Greasy's the fucking quarterback whisperer, so let's fucking just do whatever he says. And supposedly Greasy was asked about being the offensive coordinators for the Saints, and he was like, no. So that's interesting. He says, when asked about his future interests, and he says, you never know what can happen, but he likes where he is and who he's with. In other words, he wants to see Brock get to his final form, I think, or on the way to where he's no longer needed, or Super Bowl or something. But it seems like he's not ready to go yet. He likes his job. He likes his spot. I'm sure right now he's not having to do much. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably looked at as a messiah there, because he was able to find Brock. Him and the scouts got together and was like, yeah, Brock's the shit. And then turns out Brock is the shit. And, and if we could figure out a way, see if they would have found a way to get a Tanner Mordecai, if he's just as good, if they were able to figure out how to get him a year ago, then, you know what I mean? You might not have to pay a Brock Purdy. But now what? You got, if Tanner Mordecai is the new next Brock Purdy, maybe not as fast or as quick, what are you going to do? Pay Brock Purdy and then turn around and got his fucking replacement on deck, but you can't get rid of Brock? Like, what is that? Are you going to deal his replacement, the guy you stocked up who's on the rookie contract, you're going to deal him to somebody else for a steal, and then you eat Brock's?
Well, like they say, Ryan, lightning doesn't strike twice. So I wouldn't expect that, just some undrafted guy is going to replace Mr. Irrelevant, who has obviously become very relevant. Levi says, I think Latu will be a long-term TE2. Me personally, since you don't use a lot of 3 tight end sets, I'd go young and find young you want to develop into Kittle. But maybe they think Latu is, oh God. Until proven otherwise, I'm out on Latu. I think he's a bust until proven otherwise.
So his coach was pretty optimistic about him. I can't remember where my notes are, but pretty much saying, hey, he's a good guy. He was really upset at his play last year, and that it compounded on him. And then right after he was starting to make headway and stop making those mistakes, it seems like he was in his head early on, and then he got injured the moment he pulled his head out of his ass. Not to say that his head was really in his ass, but you know what I mean? He pulled his head out, and he was able to function like he's used to functioning, and that's when he got injured. And so they're hoping that he can make the strides. Sounds like Braden Willis is handling business, though. He's not a on the line tight end, but Braden Willis, watch out. Nice big slot. Something like that. He's gonna He could be a use check, maybe. I think he's a little too tall to kind of be a patented use check, but if he was to solid up, I think he'd probably be a good replacement for use check at some point. Yeah.
Some people were saying Garendo as a smaller replacement to use check too.
Well, see, that is plus he's got the speed, right? I don't know if he's got the full juice in the passing scheme potential, because Juice is a converted tight end, and he was really good at being a tight end. He was just small, and that's why he wasn't going to get any looks at a tight end in the NFL. So he moved to the next best position that he could, which was fullback. And he's lucky he's as good as he is, or else he would not be in the NFL. Plain and simple, because nobody uses a fullback, and he's lucky that there's still some demand. And now with Harbaugh in the league, there's another team. So now we've got like two teams that have to have a fullback 24/7. So this is good for the fullback position. But Garendo, yeah, he could be a fullback probably. But I think they like, I don't know. We'll see. Two back splits. I
don't think either one. I think Willis could do it. Garendo could do it. Willis just needs to learn to block a little bit better. But again, that's not really inline blocking as a fullback. You can get a running start.
See, and I think Willis was better at blocking in space than he was inline blocking, which is if you're going to have him take over a spot like use check, that's exactly what you want from him.
Juice is a 4.71. Garendo is a true 4.3.
Ross Dwelly is slow as hell too, but he got open. Gronk was slow. He got open. Usually tight ends, it doesn't matter how fast you are. Usually there's some sort of a mismatch on you. Whether it's a safety who can keep up with you step for step, but can't lay out or reach out for the ball as well as you can, or you got a linebacker who maybe isn't as fast as you and not as tall. So Gronk was even like close to retirement. Gronk was getting wide ass open in the field.
He's also 6'7" too, folks. I mean, come on. So,
but that doesn't mean that, like, getting catches is one thing, but I'm talking about being wide open in the field. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the defender's got 3 or 4 steps to close on you. That's wide open.
Well, Juwan Jennings is a 4.71 receiver. So how you like them apples, Levi? I mean,
yeah.
So tight end should take advantage of height over safety instead of speed advantage. Yeah, I agree with that.
In a normal setting, you know what I mean? Obviously, not every tight end is the same, and obviously not every linebacker or safety is the same. So, but yes, if you're trying to write up a math equation of football on the paper, that's how you would.
Levi, how tall are you, man? You're tight end. I didn't think you were that tall, man. maybe I mistook your height. Clearly, I'm
look at Delaney Walker. That guy was a tight end. In what fucking world was Delaney Walker a tight end? Really? What was he? He was just a fast ass wide receiver that was ballsy enough to be on the other side of a tackle. You know what I'm saying? That's what Delaney Walker was. That guy was fast.
I was heartbroken when he left.
Oh, crushed. He was one of my favorite players. Him and Anquan Bolden. I love those two. I love fucking Jason Williams, you fucking piece of shit. Or was it Jason Williams?
6'3".
Kyle Williams, you fucking piece of shit.
All right. I didn't realize you were so tall, Levi. My bad. Got a couple 3 inches on me, so there you go. About the same as Ryan. You're about 6'2", 6'3", aren't you?
6'4".
6'4". Oh, wow. Towering over all of us.
Yeah.
What else is going on as far as like I said, we got mandatory minicamp coming up here.
Yes.
And then I'm hoping to announce training camp dates. So
Brandon Ayuk Brandon Ayuk, if he does not show up, he gets fined up to $103,000 and some change if he's not there within the first like 3 days or something, I believe. So expect that to be news coming up, but we all know that doesn't mean shit. And the 49ers, even though they're not supposed to be able to do that, they'll figure out some way to eat that for him. So when they do the contract. So that will be coming up. So don't wig out. It's all a part of the plan, right? You know what I mean? It's all a part of the game. So don't want anybody to be taken aback.
No, I'm not worried about it. I think he'll show up and just be on the sideline, not practicing. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We got
Daniel Berry Sports in the house.
Yeah, he's a Rams fan. But he's cool. Make sure you check out his channel. And obviously, Levi Darwin Draven has his own channel. Make sure you check him out. Give him a like and subscribe.
Two great content creators.
Indeed. No doubt about it. We're blessed here. What else is going on? I really can't think of much else. Did you have anything else on your topic sheet, your burning desires?
Oh, there's lots more. I just don't know where we're going to go in a couple of minutes. So, yeah, like I said, fucking notes and notes on notes.
And yet none in our Discord, Ryan. We're
pop motion cheat. That's something big coming up. I heard Grant talk about it. You're going to be seeing that's just when somebody goes in motion and the ball gets hiked before they stop or get set. So that's going to be the new way to get people open. We saw Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins do it last year. You're going to see every team in the NFL do that this year. So let's keep an eye on what the 49ers spin on it is and how other teams execute that style of play. So that's kind of what it is. It's kind of how they were kind of moving Tyreek Hill in motion behind the line of scrimmage, kind of like we would do Kittle in that. Remember the 4th and 2 play for the Saints? They're kind of doing that, but with Tyreek Hill, which is nasty. But seems like teams are using it to, I don't know, you can kind of exploit man coverage with it because you can motion someone out, make them move out, call certain, protection, change the protection. Then you just send the guy back in motion again and then hike the ball before he comes back and set before anybody can make any correct back to what they were going. And then you hike the ball and now everybody's jobs are incorrect on the defense. Essentially, they have to kind of go on the fly. So that's something big that I think we should look into is the pop/cheat motion. Kyle calls it cheat motion. Other teams are calling it the pop motion. So I think there's something. They do this pop motion somewhere else in some other sport, I believe. And that's where the term comes. I think it's basketball. I don't know.
Pick and pop is something you hear in basketball where you set a pick and then the guy gets open and pops a shot. That could be it. I don't know. I'm not definitely not an expert in a lot of other sports besides football. So, but I would guess it might be basketball.
Yep.
Potentially. Good. I look forward to seeing it. I'm sure Kyle will maximize it to its fullest potential.
Essentially, I watched a video, and essentially we're the ones who created it in football. Essentially, Mike McDaniels had an epiphany when he was coaching with us because there was a play where the ball got hiked before Kyle Juszczyk was able to get set again. So he stayed in motion. I can't remember how this all played into it, but it was a play that was fucking an incomplete pass. And that's what made this pop/cheat motion all of a sudden come into play. And what I'm sure Mike McDaniel, he had this thought and he's like, oh, I'm holding that one in my back pocket. I'm holding this one in my back pocket for when I get a job interview. And then he went to fucking the Dolphins was like, Yeah. See, look at this. Okay. I'm really good with taking care of quarterbacks in certain systems. Like, I'm going to make Tua look like a star. And guess what? This is one of the ways I'm going to do it. And he shows them a couple of pop motion plays and explains how it's going to affect the defense. And they're like, sign us up. I'm telling you, I think that's kind of how it went in his job interview.
Interesting. Well, hard to say. We weren't there, so it's hard to know what was said and not. But
he said, Darwin says, fun fact, Ayuk is on the 5th-year option. They can waive any fines that he gets for no. Okay, so it's the 5th year when this contract shit happens that there's like a grace period where they don't get dinged for it, I'm guessing. But I'm guessing any other year you get dinged for it. So that makes sense. And that's probably why it goes like this every year. So, okay. Thank you for enlightening me, sir. And without looking into that, I'm just going to believe it because Darwin's pretty correct about certain stuffs. You know what I mean? When it comes to stuff that can be looked up, he's pretty good at it.
No doubt about it. Well, I know we're running short on time. We got to get you back to work. So thanks to everybody who stopped by today. Ryan, what else you got going on this week that you want to promote?
We might have a rivalry show going down. Might not. We're kind of changing things up a little bit, trying to evolve the show a little bit. So yeah, just keep an ear out. I'll probably put something in my community tab if we go live this week on Joe's channel. So yeah, hit us up.
Nice. Love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll just say peace and go Niners.
And we out.